Alright, as you may or may not have seen in one of the previous episodes, the one where I whine about the door, at the end I wrote down that I had found a method of pulling out the crease, and the crease that we're talking about is this long one that runs all the way along here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find some larger heavy washers out of my collection of odds and ends here, and they will get welded directly into that crease, and then using a pipe and an S-hook or some other affair that I'll discover in the next little bit, pull out the crease a little bit at a time. Alright, here's the tools I'm thinking will do this. We've got a series of washers that I will now take over to the wire brush wheel and clean them off so that the weld will penetrate. Got a nice beefy Corvair transmission input shaft and an S-hook. And that S-hook is looks to be the weakest link, maybe other than my welds, but we'll go from there. So off to the wire wheel and do some cleaning. So there's 9. We'll see how far 9 takes us. In addition to wire brushing off grease to give me clean metal, I also ground a flat on one edge just to increase the distance that I get a metal to metal contact, increase the length of the weld, and hopefully that will be enough to make the washer stay. And got ear protection in and eye protection on, and it's time to get rid of some of this lovely epoxy paint that was on in order to have something that the weld will stick to. Alright, we can stick a few down and kind of see where this takes us. So the welder is set on position B for current or voltage for the electrical power, and 5.5 for wire feed speed. And so what I'm going to do is hold the washer with the ground, touch it, and then hit it with the welder. And we're going to crank up the voltage to see, because this washer is thicker than the panel. We'll have hopes that we don't burn through the sheet metal. Here we go. Better sound. Help if we actually touched the door. Alright, we'll do a little test with checking the rod and the board to see if we actually have enough to keep that attached. Look through there. Not through there. Look at that. That's a good sound. Alright, so plenty of weld. Let's move on, weld on some more washers. Using a needle nose pliers to hold the washer up against the door instead of the ground clip, because the ground clip is in there well enough. We're good to go. Down goes the hood. Alright, shaft's a little greasy, so see what kind of difference. We're getting to be almost flat. To this one. Alright, at one point Harbor Freight had their grinders on sale, so rather than having to switch heads, wheels, whatever you want to call them, I had my old one, which keeps the wire brush on it. This one's got a cutoff blade on it, and this one's got a flapper disc on it. So we'll start with a cutoff blade. Okay, so I will go with that through that paint on all the other ones. So after grinding off, that's the mess we're left with. And now we'll take the flapper disc and try to get rid of that excess, and then see how our profile is of the contour. So it looks like we still need to do some pulling. Alright, so we've come all the way along. Everything is got a crease to it. Previous video, you remember how things were, at least coming out here. This is what it's supposed to be. The peak is about halfway, and each side is about 1/4 of an inch. So I come here, the peak's halfway. Sorry, peak is halfway, each side about 1/4 of an inch. Peak is halfway. I think I want to pull that one a little bit more. Seems like the peak is a little bit too high. Alright, so we've ground down as best we can the welds. I'm going to go ahead and clean this all off and shoot some primer on here just to protect the metal. So this was the only primer I had. And yes, you can still see a bit of the crease, but the key thing is that it's now concave profile instead of convex. And that means that whatever Bondo I have to put in to fill in that small crease is going to be minimal. All good.